Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters Night podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Today, welcome a special guest who seems to be way out there in the UK. You got Dr. Black, aka Rob Rees. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
No worries. And actually, I was trying to check out your music last night, but I was trying to go on Spotify to do it. And unfortunately, I was getting like a couple other Doc Blacks. So, unfortunately,
okay.
I was going to say, are you on Spotify and all that?
Yeah, it's on everything. There's a lyric video for we only got the one song, so that's probably why we're not very buried down in there. But got a lyric video for that on YouTube as well. Spotify, Apple, all the usual suspects were,
I was going to say, unless you know how to speak Spanish, and I was just not finding it out. So
that's not me, sadly. I think there must be another one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, would they have copyright you if you did Doctor Who?
Probably. I don't know how it works about that. Maybe if I did a TV show based on it, then they probably would copyright me, but don't know, I might get away with it.
Well, there's that long TV series. I don't know how long it's been running, but I saw like a recent one. It was like a woman that was playing it. So they've had a lot of Doctor Who's throughout the history.
Yeah, they changed it. I think it's one every sort of, people know much more about it than me. It's been going for about 50 years, I think, with a few breaks in between. But the Doctor regenerates every few years, so into a new actor.
Something like that. I was going to say every decade, but I'm not too sure if that's how it works.
I'm not. I haven't watched it for a good few years, so I'm not too up to date on it.
Yeah, but I do have to laugh because there was actually a quote from a movie I watched. It was called Reservoir Dogs, and the way it was working was the criminals were getting names that were basically based off colors, for instance.
Yeah.
So one of the main mob boss, he was basically saying like, you got 4 guys in a room all arguing over who's going to be Mr. Black. But since no one knows each other, no one wants to back down.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember that. I love that film. Steve Buscemi being, he doesn't want to be Mr. Pink, does he? Because masculinity and all that. Great film.
Well, Mr. Pink sounds like Mr. Pussy. So, yeah. Good movie, though. Yeah, good ensemble cast, too. So, that's up to Quentin Tarantino's debut there. So,
yeah.
But speaking of which, I guess, how you been recently? What's new?
Yeah, so, I mean, what's new is debut single, Queen of Summertime, out now. It's been taking up all my time, really, up until it came out a couple of weeks ago. First song under Dr. Black. Just been trying to promo that, get people to hear it, basically. Yeah, all the work about that.
All right. You get to elaborate more on the music here in just a little bit here, too. But are you based in and around the London area? Are you real close to all that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I'm just in like suburban London basically, but been very easy to get to Camden and all of those places where the actual like heart of the music. Camden is really like the heart of the music scene, I guess, because there's so many pubs, clubs, and venues and stuff there. I mean, all the labels are based out in Kensington, but I mean, all of the where the actual fans are and where the music is in Camden.
Let's go party in Camden! Yay!
Exactly. Good night out. I highly recommend it.
Actually, I've been to London twice, and unfortunately, we've only covered like mainly the spot where Parliament, Big Ben, and all those places are. Mainly that part of London. So I can't speak for everyone else. So
Westminster, West End. It's the place where everyone goes. It's it's kind of stereotypical London thing. Camden's just a bit further north, and highly recommend it if you get a chance to come over again.
Want to see how those rich people are living too, so that's why.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, around Westminster and around there, Kensington as well. It's just insane amounts of wealth. Like, I mean, a house there is like a flat there's going to cost you a couple of million quid. So it's insane.
Yeah, I can really see why.
Yeah.
But Rob, I want to welcome you into my podcast right here. And the way it's going to work is I'm going to ask you some questions. Let's get to know the man behind the music here too. So it seems like you just started, so this ought to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing music for 20 years at this point. Been around the block several times in various bands. Last one kind of fizzled out during the pandemic, really, as so many other bands did. But but as a result of that, I kind of had some time in my hands and was just kind of, I've always wanted to write, always want to keep writing music, and I just couldn't stop, even though I didn't have a band. So kind of got to, I'm a guitar player, really. That's my main background, but I decided I was going to sing on this because I needed, it was just me doing it at home on my own. Couldn't really, get a singer in and all of that stuff. So, just did it myself. Had to kind of teach myself how to sing to a degree and figure it out. And yeah, it was trial and error, a lot of that. But yeah, first song by Dr. Black is out now. I got another one that's coming out at some point later this year, and quite a bit more in the tank as well, ready to go at some point.
All right. Let's get to know more about your backstory here too. So I guess let's start back in the beginning when he was just a wee little lad. So, I guess let's start there.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm quite lucky that I got a brother who's 3 years older than me, and he's always been into like heavy music. So I was able to always just kind of get everything from him. You know, growing up listening to, well, you know, I was about 10 or something, listening to Linkin Park. Remember that Meteor must have come out around about then. What a great album that is. Love that. And then one time, I think we were in the car, my brother had got a copy of Down to Earth by Ozzy Osbourne, which must have come out about 2001, I think. And listening to that on the Walkman or CD, Discman, whatever it was called, a little portable CD player in the back of the car. And the first song of it is called Gets Me Through It. It starts off with a piano piece, and my brother was just like, you know, teasing me like, oh, it must be a classical CD or something instead. And then it kicks into the main riff, you know, Zakk Wylde doing what Zakk Wylde does best. And yeah, I was like, that's it, hooked on that, love that. I was also, you know, still to this day, but big into Motorhead as well. That was possibly my not possibly, definitely my favourite band that's ever existed. Just, yeah, so about Lemmy was like the coolest person in the world. So I think as a result of that, I really wanted to play bass. And also Gene Simmons as well. I mean, like, he's actually I find him a bit underrated as a bass player because he's got this massive personality, and, you know, you've got the demon who spits blood everywhere and everyone focuses on that. But actually, as a bass player, I think he's a bit underrated because some of his bass lines, like Sure Know Something, and like, you know, just some really cool bass lines, and it kind of underpins the song really well. And he's not just doing what Paul Stanley does as well. So because of those two, I always wanted to, play bass. So I gave that a go, and I was absolutely rubbish at it. Could not play bass to save my life. I mean, I guess playing a small Fender through a 10-watt PV amp, I was never going to sound like Lemmy, which is probably the main problem there. I didn't have a Rickenbacker going through the Marshalls, but so I played bass first, but was just god awful at it. Couldn't go anywhere with that. So I thought, give a 6-string a go, see how that works, see if there's anything better than that. And I must have been about 14 by that point, and just played the guitar constantly, just non-stop. And I think as a result of that, it wasn't as awful. And I had a little Line 6 Spider amp, which was, I mean, it had 4 tones, a clean, crunch, metal, and insane. And I don't think it ever went off the insane mode. It was just on that all the gain, everything constantly, just really loud, really cranked, just didn't matter, playing that. So played in bands, you know, throughout school when I was younger. Did some gigs, some awful gigs. I remember the first one we did, we were, the singer's brother was playing drums, and he didn't know how to play a song and just walked off the stage midway through. So that was pretty awful. But it was good. It's a good experience, and I'm glad it happened when it did, because it was pre-video phones, or good quality video phones. So you could do an awful gig, humiliate yourself in front of everyone, but it wouldn't leave a lasting impression for everyone to follow up years later. So I mean, played in bands, did gigs around London and stuff. Went to music college for a bit, which was okay. Learned a bit, drank a lot more than I learned. Joined another band, which was pretty decent. Moved from band to band really afterwards. It sounds like I'm a band hopper. I stayed with them for as long as I could, but then inevitably someone in the band would want to quit, or stuff would happen, and just people move on. You know, when you're 18, everyone's your mates. You're in a band with everyone at school, and then everyone's going to different universities and all over the country. I can't really survive. That's a bit about my history, really.
I'll say your Brits have always been known for going heavy, to be honest, too. You can thank Venom for that. So
true. Always been heavy. I
do have to ask the question: who would win in a fight, Lemmy or God?
Trick question. Lemmy is God.
They got it. All right, it does.
Got it. Airheads. What a movie! I watched that first time in ages a few weeks ago. What a great movie. That bit, the whole the question before that is the whose side were you on in the big Van Halen David Lee Roth split, and the guy says Van Halen, and DJ goes, he's a cop, calls him out immediately. Great film.
Yeah. I think what was ironic was it started off, it didn't actually do real good in the box office, but I guess nowadays it's been critically reevaluated. So
definitely a cult classic as a.
And that's Steve Buscemi in it as well, but I think it also had Brandon Fraser. I forget who else was in it, but they did have a cameo appearance with Lemmy in it, so that's why.
Yeah. Editor of the school magazine. Yeah, I think it was Adam Sandler was the other person in it, and he was the main the third Lone Ranger, if you will.
Say at least the Three Musketeers or the Musketeers, if we want to say that. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But good choice of the movie there. And so, because if you've always lived in and around London, or have you kind of jumped around?
Yeah. No, pretty much always around London, basically. Basically home. Always been there. Very interesting story. Sorry.
Yeah. No. But I'm actually curious about musical school because, like, I don't know how they do it here in the States, to be honest with you, too, but I just know it was like play an instrument, maybe again with like an ensemble if it's like those classical instruments. But I guess so. Were you always doing guitar? I don't know if you gave a bass at some point at that point or what.
Yeah, bass was long in the rearview mirror by that point. I went to a kind of modern music school, so it wasn't traditional. I didn't learn like jazz standards or anything classic. It was all just rock and pop, basically. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty relaxed kind of thing at first. It was very just, I mean, it was great. You'd be in your individual class with other guitar players, and your teacher would take you through the song you were doing that week, and then on Friday you'd just get on stage with random people who'd been playing bass, people who'd been singing drums, and just get on stage with random people you'd not coordinated with, not practiced, and play the song because you've all learned it, which is really cool. It was a really good way. A little bit later on, though, I kind of got a bit less interesting. I definitely remember one time I had to leave a class early for a gig, and like I had a bit of trouble with the teacher because he didn't want me to leave, and I was like, I'm like, I appreciate we're here to like learn about music and further our careers, but I would like to go and do an actual gig. I feel like that's more important than hearing loads of people play Kiss, the Prince version, over and over again. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's like in the States, but my experience of that is the movie Whiplash. Again, back to movies again. That's all I know about it, but I have no idea how accurate that is.
I want to say maybe somewhat, but I'm not too sure. So,
yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a good movie, even though I think the so-called antagonist of it, I think it's one of those ones you want to hit in the face pretty hard. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
But I guess let's go ahead and jump into Doc Black, or Dr. Black, whichever one you want to go by. But
either's fun. Yeah, I mean, I guess it was during the pandemic. Previous band, as I say, fizzled out. Nothing really there. But I guess I kind of just obviously kept writing music, and I think I definitely, being stuck indoors and can't do anything, and just, listening to the same music over and over again, I was kind of like, I need to write something new that I can listen to, basically, is what I was doing. And I mean, I've trolled through, old songs that I've written, years and years ago to get some ideas going. And, I got a couple of songs to be released that are based on like really old stuff that I've written. Wrote a whole load of new stuff. So yeah, I got Queen of Summertime has come out now, which is kind of I mean, Dr. Black as a band, it's kind of, I don't really know how to define us under a particular genre. It's, I say on everything, I just put metal / punk / post-hardcore because it kind of fits into all of those, but not really into any of those, from my own opinion. Other people might disagree. But like, I've got, Queen of Summertime is effectively a pop punk song, but it's got a heavy metal riff in it. So, get out of the major key for that riff. But the next song we've got to come out is called Fungus, which again, I think it's pretty metal. Some people might not. They might think it's more post-hardcore, but yeah, kind of a combination of the two kind of things. I guess you could call it metalcore, but then it's not really metalcore because it doesn't sound like the big ones, like I know Killswitch or to a degree, or Asking Alexandria or something like that. But yeah, I've got a whole album written, mostly recorded as well. A few vocal bits I need to tidy up and edit, and there's one song I, for the life of me, can't seem to get the right melody for the verse, and that's bothering me. I want to be recording and I want to get it done. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing all the recording myself just at home. I mean, really simple setup. But there's a studio in Germany called Outback Recordings. Benedict Hain runs it, and he's just brilliant. Like switched on, back and forth conversation with him. So I was able to send him the 2 songs. We'd go back and forth, and he'd tell me what he needed. I'll tell him what I needed, and yeah. The reason why they sound the way they do is all down to him. It's nothing to do with my audio engineering here at home. But yeah, band's pretty new. Still recruiting band members for gigs and stuff. But yeah, ideally want to get back out there and do as many gigs as possible. But yeah, just finding the right people at the moment.
Did you bring in any session musicians, or you just did all of it on your own just for this one song?
Just all on my own for that. I mean, I even played bass on it. That's how that's how desperate I was for musicians. No, I was gonna do it all on my own, drums and MIDI, but I'm gonna do it all myself at home. And yeah, played bass again. It's okay. It's buried. No, it's fine. I practiced enough to get it to sound all right. I feel like I've learned a lot since I sort of gave that up. But yeah, all me for the time being. But yeah.
I'd say it came full circle. You go back to your Lemmy days. So
exactly. I think I went for more Steve Harris on this. I didn't use a massive amount of distortion. Didn't use a pick. Used maybe a little bit of pick, but mostly fingers because I wanted that kind of sound. I wanted that Steve Harris kind of string bite in there. Sounds cool. I'm in no way comparing my bass skills to Steve Harris's, but that's what I was aiming for.
I guess would you say him, Lemmy, I guess maybe a couple, and I know you mentioned Gene Simmons, would you say those are your biggest influences? But I guess who else do you got in terms of guitar?
On guitar, well, again, it's going to be really boring because I'm going to say Phil Campbell from Motorhead. He's my hero. It was Killed by Death. I mean, I heard Ace of Spades, I must have known that, but Killed by Death was the first other Motorhead song I heard. Again, going back to when I was 12 or something, and the beginning of that has a guitar solo from Phil Campbell, and it's just amazing. Just love it. And that was a kind of a eye-opening moment about the guitar there. So Phil Campbell's definitely my hero. I also big fan of Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden. I mean, all 3 of them are great, but I think I just think if I have to pick one, it's going to be Adrian. I think he's just more kind of solid, just sits in the middle, does everything really, really well. Big fan of Jim Root, Mick Thompson from Slipknot, both great. And Jim Root as well from, Stone Sour as well, big Stone Sour fan. I mean, Zakk Wylde, obviously, he's come up already. Can't beat him. Yeah, those are my sort of main ones I've had to pick. But I mean, there's so many phenomenal guitar players out there. It's just, so hard to, pick a top 5, really.
Yeah, I would say it seems like the most of them have been British musicians, to say the least. So
yeah, kind of interesting. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why. It's just, it's weird. I mean, I guess when I was younger, I did kind of gravitate more towards the new wave of British heavy metal. 20 years too late, but Priest, Saxon, Iron Maiden, Motorhead, obviously, Girl School as well. Yeah, they were all really cool. But I guess the later stuff, Slipknot, Killswitch, Lamb of God, that kind of stuff is, the sort of early 2000s metal. That's kind of where the Americans side of thing was taking over. Obviously, I'm not saying there weren't great American metal bands in the 80s and 90s, but yeah, I guess my influence is the British side back there.
I'd say we had a fair share. I mean, to be fair.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, definitely. Now, but now we talk about it, I can't think of any, but that's only because I'm freezing up. So.
Oh, you're good. Actually, I am seeing Iron Maiden coming November to my neck of the woods.
Oh, awesome.
So,
whereabouts are you in the States?
I'm actually in Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, PA. So
yeah, nice.
So that'd be interesting.
Haven't been there, but yeah, no. I mean, I think the current show for the Iron Maiden one's going down pretty well. I think. Yeah, don't know. I haven't been to it, but I haven't seen them for a few years. But seen some videos and stuff of them playing, and kind of a lot of old classics. So.
I mean, I would say I know Bruce doesn't really have that vocal range like he used to. So.
Yeah, true. But I think I've been hearing that he's been getting, because obviously he had mouth cancer and stuff. And he's obviously in his 60s now. But I think I've been hearing that like this tour has been better than other. He's obviously doing his own solo stuff as well. Don't know if you've heard that as well. There's a few songs on there that were pretty cool. Didn't miss the chance to see him when he was in London, but yeah, I've actually met Bruce Dickinson. I met him at when I was younger, like in between music and stuff, I was figuring out what I was going to do, and I went for like a pilot careers seminar thing, just event, and he flies planes obviously, and Bruce Dickinson was there. I saw him walking across the thing. I was like, I have to go up and say hello to him. So I went and said hi, and I basically only wanted to talk to him about Iron Maiden, but he was there in a pilot training capacity. So he basically just wanted to talk to me about the 747 simulator he got down in Cardiff or wherever it was. And I was just like, no, that's cool. But I saw you at Twickenham Stadium in 2008 and it was like the best gig of my life. So can we talk about that? But obviously didn't say that. But yeah, it was cool.
He was like a kid in a candy store. So.
Literally, yeah.
Okay. That's super cool though. Actually, I remember another friend of mine I interviewed on the West Coast. I guess Bruce was actually flying his plane. I guess he had landed in there, and
awesome.
He didn't get up close like what you did, but I guess he just saw him from like
a
certain distance. Yeah,
so, 100 feet below. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. I forget what job it was. I thought it was like something in like mail carrier or something. So
okay, yeah. So he's the Air Force One landing. Yeah,
something like that. So not too sure. Sure. And I guess where'd you get the name Dr. Black? Was it? I know we referenced Doctor Who earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I could describe where it comes from, but it is so mundane and boring. I'm going to keep that to myself and let that be an air of mystery around it.
Well, we did reference movies.
Sorry.
I was going to say we have reference movies, so I'm wondering if that's where it came from. One of those movies, yeah.
Could be a movie or TV show, but I'll never say.
All right, suit yourself. But I guess here, let's jump into the hard topic of COVID right here too. So I have interviewed a good number of musicians in around, both in London and up in the UK as well here too. So each one's story is like varied in somewhat. Some people got impacted pretty bad. Some impacted maybe in some cases, but they pulled through. And so I guess how bad did COVID impact you, family-wise, and then music?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm really lucky with it because I did get COVID at the beginning, but I wasn't too ill with it. I felt rough for a couple of days and couldn't smell for a couple of weeks. But I was very lucky. Like, no one in my family got sick, particularly sick from it. I've got a day job, and I was very fortunately was able to just do that remotely for however long it was, months and months. So yeah, I was very lucky because obviously people lost friends and relatives and lost their jobs and stuff like that, and I was quite lucky. But yeah, in terms of the music, yeah, as I say, my band, like, I think everyone had been kind of feeling a bit burnt out before that in the old band, and then kind of just that happened, and that was kind of like it. I think we wrote and recorded a couple of songs remotely, but just nothing ever happened with that. I never kind of put those out, and it kind of just, it's kind of a really underwhelming end to a band. It's just fizzled out with nothing really happening, and everyone's kind of gone their own way. But I was kind of like, do I keep doing this? Do I stop? But I can't stop playing guitar. I can't stop writing music. So I just kept going. So I guess it was good in that respect because it was a reset. It kind of, ended one thing, started another. I got Dr. Black now as a result of it. And, I've had to come through that and work on that all myself, and not having anyone else around to kind of bounce ideas off, and, not having anyone to hide behind as well, be like, oh, if you didn't like the song, it's because someone else was singing on it or whatever. It's all me. So it's kind of a bit of a journey in that respect. But yeah, COVID was tough for everyone, but like I think I was quite lucky in the way it was for me. So
that's very good to hear. And good to see you're doing well there, mate. So
yeah, cheers. How's it for you?
Well, I do remember the day the world stood still, as I like to call it. But it was March 15th, 2020, and that was when I was pulled into my office for the previous job I was working at. And they were saying, like, you're going to be working from home for, like, about a week or two. And then, of course, it kept expanding to months, and then next thing you know, it's 2 in some years. So funny enough is that we always were precautious. And even though we did, like, travel just within the States, we never went, like, overseas, like, from 2020 and 2022.
Yeah.
So funny thing was, like, we even took precautions, and then when we went to Nashville in, like, late 2022, we didn't really mask up, and I guess we weren't as cautious as we had been previously.
Right.
So, of course, when you're bar hopping on Broadway, which is like the big music central of Nashville, for instance, you can probably imagine what happened. So
yeah, inevitable COVID. Yeah. I think I've definitely had it once as well since the first time. Since, like, I must have had it at the beginning of March 2020, and then I think I had it beginning of 2023. Definitely, I felt absolutely worn out for a couple of days. Just like, that was at a point where you could get a test as well. So you could actually confirm you had it, not just being like, yeah, I think I felt rough at that approximate time. It's pretty tough. I mean, it's been still a fair amount of it going around, I understand, but I don't know if it's as serious. I don't know, or is just everyone kind of a bit more immune to it, or is it? I don't know, but yeah, fingers crossed. Got to stay safe.
Yeah, let's see what happens. And because I have interviewed a good number of musicians who have also lived in London, or let alone maybe come and went. I guess, how's the music scene been from your perspective? Because it seems to vary a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was stone dead for those couple of years during the part of it. I mean, not to say that people weren't doing similar things to me, but actually releasing music during it and doing it. So I guess from that side, I guess it was more of it. But I think it's kind of bounced back. I mean, there's a whole thing in the UK about pubs and venues and stuff struggling as it is without, pandemics and, stuff like that. I mean, as well, like London as well, like, it's a lot of office jobs mostly, and a lot of that's now work from home as well. So, there's fewer people around. The transport system here doesn't have enough money. And people aren't going to the pubs as much and going out to gigs and stuff. So I think it's still tough, but I think there's still plenty of bands out there still doing it. There's still plenty of good promoters and venues who are still pushing it, and they're still pulling crowds and stuff like that. So my experience of it, I've been to, a few gigs, quite a few, since it's opened up, and it generally seems to be bouncing back, I think, maybe a bit more cautiously than it was. But yeah, fortunately, I think hopefully, fingers crossed, we're in a good place.
Yeah, I would say when I was the second time in London, it seemed like you guys are deceiving with your architecture, or building new buildings, I should say, of like all the numerous cranes we were seeing all over the place. Yeah,
I mean, they're crazy for skyscrapers at the moment. And again, I think it seems, again, I don't know how true it is, but what I've read is that obviously because there's hardly anyone in the offices, definitely on a Friday, but every office is at, like, half capacity or whatever, and do we need to build way more skyscrapers? I don't know. But yeah, in the proper city, like it's called the City of London. It's different to London, but it's basically the financial, what you might call a central business district or whatever. But that part, yeah, like on a Friday, that's completely dead. Like there's no one around. Thursday night is the night when everyone is in the pubs and drinking and paying, easily £7 for a pint of beer. So yeah, it's pretty pricey.
Thursdays, we got those.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I said, I mean, I'd be out there too if it was Friday as well. Be like, I'm going home. That's our deal.
Yeah, most people don't even make it in. So yeah.
But in all seriousness, it's good to see you doing well there, mate. So
cheers, you too.
Yeah. And I'm actually curious, I guess, what else do you do in terms of like hobbies? I guess, do you try to do like any sort of kayaking? I mean, the guy that Tom's going through there.
Yeah, no. So obviously I mentioned the flying stuff. So I have a private pilot's license because that's something I always wanted to do. So yeah, that's my main hobby as well, like outside music, obviously, which I hope is a bit more than just a hobby. But yeah, so fly, just fly a little single engine propeller thing. But yeah, PA-28. But yeah, it's great fun. Could got the Isle of Wight. You can fly there from my local aerodrome, fly there in about an hour, go there, get lunch, go for a little walk on the beach, come back. It's it's probably definitely one of the best hobbies. Not at all sporty though. I come from a long line of unsporty people, so if I kick a ball, it's not going to go in any direction, let alone trying to get a bat or a racket to connect with the ball. That's not going to happen for me. And just running is just too much for me anyway. But flying is if I could just fly and play the guitar and sing and stuff, that I'd be pretty happy.
Actually, do you do anything with the seaplanes? I don't know if they have them really anywhere close by to London. I guess those little seaplanes they have where you're able to take off and then land in water.
I don't think we've got any around here. We've got some absolutely because there's I think it's 5 major airports in London or around. They all have London tagged onto it, even if they're 70 miles outside. But the actual airspace above London is really congested, and you can't go in there and stuff like that. So I don't think there's a lot of seaplanes. I think up in Scotland, up in the lochs up there, you've got. I think that's where a lot of people do it. I'm not aware that there's much down there, but that'd be something cool to do. But I don't even know how you wouldn't even know where you begin with that. Where's the runway? Is any bit of water just the runway? I don't know.
Technically, yeah. So actually, the reason I remember it was because one of the trips I took back in 2018, it was in London. We're flying from Vancouver over to Victoria Island. We actually took one of those planes over. So
cool. Yeah, I think they've got a whole taxi service, don't they, in Vancouver around there, possibly for getting to the island. There's it might not be a taxi service per se, but it might be a fleet of those little small seaplanes with, I don't know how many seats were on your one, 8 or something like that, 10 passengers or something, and take you out to the island. But that must have been quite interesting. If depends how good at flying you are. If you struggle on a jet, then that's probably awful for anyone.
Something like that. Yeah. And it was about 8 to 10, outside the passenger or outside the guys who are controlling the plane. So the pilots, So
cool.
So that's pretty cool.
We don't have anything like that around here. Just major airports, and then we got loads of little former RAF. Most of them were former RAF bases that are now just for private flying and general aviation and stuff like that. They're all kind of scattered about the places. There's so many, when you're in a plane, if you're just a passenger on a plane, you're looking at, you just constantly just looking down at airfields basically. And it's cool.
I did have to ask about cricket because it was actually in Bath where we were walking around and we actually just stopped to see how a cricket match actually went.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a cricket match. Well, one day of a 4-day cricket match. As I say, I'm not sporty. I don't follow it, and I don't even really understand the rules to it. But I've been to one day. I went to day 2 of a 4-day match, so I was kind of lost as to what was going on. I don't even know how a sports match lasts 4 days, but there was a free bar, so at the place I was in the cricket ground, so it wasn't all bad. But I mean, I think, there's plenty of little greens and stuff scattered around. There's one on the drive to my parents where just small little green, looks like a village green, but it's in London, well, just outside. And there's quite often people in their whites there on a Sunday, just playing cricket.
Yeah, a little bit. It's nothing like the American size baseball, like what you see, and just run back and forth a couple times, and then somehow they get the points involved. Yeah.
What sports do you watch? Because again, I say I don't watch a huge amount. I've watched tried to watch a couple of American football stuff, or as you would call it, football. I find it. I don't know. It might just be me and my lack of knowledge, but I find that they just stop the clock every 5 seconds, and it just keeps going and going and going. I don't know if that's my thing, but I see a few of that. And basketball, just literally just going back and forth. It's good. That feels more intense, I find.
I would say I don't watch too much of the basketball. I see some baseball every now and again because we got our own little hometown team, to be honest. So, and football. I'd say football is more enjoyable, but it's more enjoyable when you're actually doing the fantasy football. I don't know if you think about that. So
yeah, we have fancy football, but it's for soccer.
That other football, yeah,
yeah, the other football, yeah, that's the thing as well. Yeah, people do that as well. Again, I personally don't, but yeah, a lot of people do that. I guess kind of makes people more interested. Everyone's very sort of wedded to their soccer team here. Absolutely loyal and diehard fans here, and yeah, it's constantly like every Monday there's like talk about it in the office and stuff like that. People being like, going over it, and yeah, kind of get all the highlights from that.
I mean, I would say if you're any worse than what you see in South America, for instance, where they're throwing flares, tearing down like fences and stuff, and maybe even getting like confrontational. I mean, geez, that's maybe a little bit too extreme.
Probably not as bad as that. There is a club in London who will remain nameless that has a bit of a reputation for, fans that can get a bit angry and a bit rowdy. But yeah, don't wade in on that.
I mean, I know the Scots are pretty dark too, especially if you look back at their history. And
yeah, I mean, Glasgow's got 2 soccer teams, and it's completely divided. Again, I think it's even down on religious lines as well, and Catholicism or Protestantism as well. I think that just gives you an idea of how ingrained football is in British culture. I guess that it's just so deep in it.
I don't know if you ever watched a series called The Sopranos. There was actually one scene where the guy's daughter is playing goalie, and I guess it's kind of the whole back and forth deal.
Yeah.
I guess the ref probably made a bad call or something like that. One guy just goes out, because it's all basically Italian people, for instance, too. So that's what it's based around Italian mob life and everything.
Yeah.
It's almost like, you blow out a whistle one more time right there, I'm going to stick that whistle right up your fucking ass. So.
Yeah, you can see people being like that, definitely.
I can imagine. So
yeah.
That is pretty cool, though, too. It's good to see everyone's out there trying to enjoy life. Let's try to avoid the drama here, people.
So. Have fun. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So athletics and everything else aside here, too, I guess. What sort of gear do you try to use to make the magic happen?
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty simple setup. I use Logic Pro for recording in terms of software. Yeah, I've got, Behringer, interface, MIDI interface. Got the KRK Classics. Don't know if you see that. There's a bit low down. Got those there. They're pretty decent monitors. They're they do the job. Yeah, I mean, I use a thing called Amped Roots as a guitar plugin. It's basically the closest thing I can get to Eddie Van Halen sounding plugin, because that's the tone you want, basically. Yeah, guitars wise, I've got a couple of tellies here. One of them has got these absolutely insane bare knuckle pickups in them that I can have like the gain on about 50, and it sounds like any other guitar when it's fully cranked. It's insane. Got another one that's kind of got a few extra things in it, like I think it's got a Strat pickup in there. Got an Ibanez, got a Squire bass, and got the Randall. I don't even know what is it, G2 series. What's that? RH200. Yeah, 200. That's an absolute tank as well. I bought that off the rehearsal studio for like 50 quid, because it's insanely loud, sounds like a tank. It's for shows, it's just the biggest thing ever. Probably too loud for most of the venues I play.
I guess, do you do all your recording right here in this room, or do you try to spread it out?
No, just in this room. So I have to make sure that a girlfriend's out of the house when I'm doing the singing as well, because close all the doors, make sure my neighbours can't hear with that, because everything else you can use headphones or keep it down low, but the singing's the one thing you can't belt it out. You can't fake that. So yeah, pretty much just entirely in here, really. The office come studio come, well, sometimes I have the exercise bike in here.
Yeah. Actually, I had mentioned in my interviews, this over here, because I do my own little music project as well.
Okay, cool.
This closet over here kind of serves as the vocal booth.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I definitely need to get a vocal booth. You need to insulate it a bit better, and so neighbours can't hear me, because that's the main part. Like, definitely when I started out singing, that was the biggest like fear, and it's like once you get scared that the neighbours are going to be like pissed off at you and like come knocking on the door, can't give a good vocal performance when you're just kind of like timidly trying to sing into the microphone. You have to be able to sing, and you've got to do some growls, and there's no way you can do a proper growl quietly. You have to be able to project.
Do you tend to mix it up in terms of your vocal ranges? Do you do both growls, screams, and then maybe some cleans here and there?
Yeah, I mean, I mostly just do clean and a couple of growls, basically, just to keep it to that. Yeah, again, it's been, as I said, I was never really a singer before doing Dr. Black, so I've kind of been figuring out what works for me and how to do it. And I think my voice mostly sits around the sort of throat, back of the throat, nose kind of area. It's quite, to me anyway, it sounds quite nasal. Tried previously to bring it down to a bit more chesty, but it just doesn't sound natural. It might sound a bit more in the range I was kind of hoping for, but it's not. So I kind of just lean into the nasal, throaty kind of thing I've got, and then just a few growls just to spice it up a bit.
Got to get from the diaphragm and try to do the inhales. That whole deal, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, figuring out recording the growls as well is you've got to take a big deep breath in for that, and then for at least the ones that I do, and then you might do the perfect one, but you were slightly too close to the mic, or it was slightly too high gain setting, and the whole thing is ruined because it's just clipped and you can't hear it properly. And it's like I know that was the perfect one if I'd recorded it properly.
All right, fair enough, right there. So, actually, I would say I'm kind of the same way, but I'm kind of like using these mics, and I don't know how good the Behringer is, or whether that's like a condenser or a dynamic mic.
Well, I mean, I use the Shure, whatever this one is. What's it called? SM37 or something like that. SM7B, that's it. That bad boy. I mean, that's pretty versatile mic. Pretty solid, I think. Can hold up. But yeah, provided I've set everything else up correctly.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I guess when you were creating your new, your first single, because I know your album and everything else is still in the works.
Yeah.
I guess did you have the lyrics written first and then try to put the music around it, or did you do it vice versa?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I definitely started writing the music first. Again, because I think when I started this, I wasn't sure who was going to be singing, if I was going to get my old singer back in, or if I was going to get someone else in, or if I was going to do it myself. So I kind of didn't have that side of things done. It was mostly just the music. Typically that. I mean, I usually start with a song title, as weird as it is. I've got a whole doc on my phone app, just a list of ridiculous and stupid song titles that sometimes they might keep them, but it might be the spark to give. I was like, okay, that song's called whatever. That song's called Queen of Summertime. I know the kind of feel that kind of evokes a feeling of, summer vibes, good times. That's probably going to be a bit, major flow around that kind of thing. And then I've kind of got the song title for that already, whether it changes or not. And then that kind of sets me up for how I want the kind of story or, feeling I want to give from the words. So, yeah, I mean, that one was definitely one where I had the song title first. And then again, a lyric came out of nowhere that was, it goes singing all summer long, which is a reference to the Kid Rock song All Summer Long. So instead of singing Sweet Home Alabama all summer long, you're singing all summer long. And then from that, I was like, well, that song came out in 2008, I think. What happened around then? Oh, the financial crash happened then. So what if the song is about partying, but it's to the background of everything's fucked, basically, and there's no money and the world's on fire. So that's kind of like how I kind of got through that one. But yeah, song's kind of got a feeling, and then it kind of, I take a long time with my vocals, like lyrics as well, because it's again I was never really a lyricist before. I wrote some stuff when I was like 16 and it was awful. It was just terrible lyrics, as anyone writing, well, not everyone, but as I was writing back then. So I kind of get that a while, and I think the thing that worked for me is that record a demo of the song on the computer, bounce that down, go for a walk, have a listen to that, and when you're outside, it kind of, a melody might come into your mind, a couple of words might come in, and then you kind of grow it from there. And again, if you got the song title, it kind of helps, but then sometimes that comes later. It just kind of happens very slowly on that front. Usually with the music, it happens very quickly. it has extremes with the music. Either I do it I write the whole thing in an hour and that's it. That's the completed song. Obviously, I'll come back and do some production on it later and have it. But I've got a song that you could bounce down and listen to and be quite happy with that, just as a rough demo. Or one you could play on the guitar and that's like an acoustic guitar and that's like the whole thing. So that either happens immediately, or I do a half of it or 2/3 of it, and then I'm at a brick wall and I have no idea how to get past that at all. So that's probably more of the latter with my songs than the first. Very lucky when I sit down and then it's all done. But and then the lyrics, they just kind of burn slowly, and then sometimes it just comes down to the wire. Like the other song that I've got coming out later is called Fungus, and again, like I didn't have the melody for that for a long time, and then I had the chorus melody but I didn't have the verse, and I just like I was changing the words constantly. Like while I was recording it, I was like actually that should, like, even like one word here and there, I was like, that sounds cool, I think that's it, but I need to change literally one word, so I have to go back and do another vocal take and get it perfect. So it takes time. Like I don't think I could ever really sit down with pen and paper and just write down kind of a set of lyrics with no music. I think that would be quite tough, unless there's something really specific I want to say. But again, even then it would be 2 lines, 3 lines, and I then have to write the rest of it around it.
Yeah, I was always the same way. Even though sometimes I had like maybe a music title down, but I realized I need the music, and then I could try to formulate how I want to put the lyrics in around it too. So I can see why. But I always want to ask too, because I'm always curious if maybe sometimes people have like maybe a song all written. It's like, okay, how can we make this whole music pattern work so that it flows real nice? So I guess for some of the other bands before forming Dr. Black, I guess, did you contribute any lyrics to any songs? I know you mentioned you started doing it at like 16. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think back in like one of the early bands, I wrote lyrics because if I didn't do it, no one else was going to do it. Kind of that kind of thing. I think I might have even sung a couple of gigs back then, actually, which God help anyone who was in the room there, because I had no idea what I was doing then. I wasn't in that kind of frame of mind where you're willing to learn. You just want to be on stage playing rock and roll. But I guess kind of we've written a few back then. The previous few bands have always had, good singers and, who have their own voice and stuff like that. And I've never really felt it's been my place to kind of, if they'd been struggling, I would have obviously written stuff, but they've always had like their own ideas of what they want to write the song about and how to do it and how they're going to do it. So, I was much more focused on the music and on the guitars and stuff like that, and let them get on with it. So again, that's been a bit of a journey for me, figuring that out, and how to write lyrics and how to kind of get your own voice as well. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still learning constantly.
Yeah, no, writer's block can always really stink whenever you need it the most, and like I just can't get this down on paper, even though I have the idea in the back of my mind. Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, I'm working several steps ahead of where I'm at currently, because I've only got one song out, but I've got a whole album done. I've kind of already got an idea of what I want to do next, but God help me if I ever get to a point where I'm like, cool, I've got to write 10 sets of lyrics in a couple of weeks' time. Like, I don't know what's going to come out then, but I need that time I need it to sort of fester and kind of grow it organic. I mean, it sounds pretentious. There's no way I can phrase it without sounding awful, but it needs to kind of happen a bit more naturally to me. I could probably write music under the pressure into the wire, but I can't write lyrics that way.
I don't know if fester was really the right word. I would have thought maybe it was like organic growth or something like that. So,
we'll stay with that. Organic growth.
Right. Fair enough there too. I think you might have mentioned this too, but I guess, what do you normally want your lyrics to really delve into? Do you like doing something with like real life world experiences, or because I know you mentioned about one of the songs being like a financial crisis and partying?
Yeah, I mean, that one's kind of definitely tongue in cheek, a bit ironic, but still, to a point serious. The other song, Fungus, is about hypochondria taken to its nth degree, just extreme hypochondria, and the slightest issue being exaggerated beyond comprehension, but kind of dwells on that. I mean, other songs I've got on the album, I've got your standard Faustian deal with the devil, kind of one about I've definitely got the one about zombies as well. That's the obligatory zombie one. Couple ones, bad relationship ones that have to go back in years and think about to kind of get the ideas. There's another song about the sort of depression, not the financial depression, the bad moods and stuff like that, and people feeling at their sort of lowest, that kind of thing. I mean, all sorts really. Again, if I've got a song title, that kind of paves the way for an idea. And again, I don't necessarily have any kind of set thing that I want to write about. It's more just if it feels like it's kind of about that kind of thing. One of the songs that's going to be on the album is called "In Hell," and again, that was based on a song I wrote years and years ago. And I think when I wrote it, the original parts of it that I co-opted were, that was from a ridiculous double album about the fall of Satan, and so "In Hell" was an appropriate song title for that. It's kind of been repurposed for being in a terrible relationship and wanting out of it, and that's kind of how I've repurposed it. Fortunately, I'm not in one of those, and I've had to go back and think about previous ones to get that. But it's just kind of just get it from all over the place, really. Yeah.
Yep, I would say inspiration comes in odd places at times. So or I guess in this case, hellish experiences.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Yeah, but I guess in all seriousness, it's good to see you being happy right there, mate. So it's good to get out of these sorts of toxic things.
Yeah, exactly, and it's it's a good, if nothing else, there's a couple of songs out of it.
I say I don't need my therapy. My therapy is my guitar right exactly.
There. So, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But jumping into like challenges, for instance, here too. I guess what sort of challenges have you face these days, mainly just in Dr. Black as a musician?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of focuses on the, kind of going back to what I was saying about the singing, and that I'm not a comfortable singer, and it's something I've had to learn and do myself. And part of that it's taken a long time to do that. So when I first started having ideas and melodies and lyrics and stuff floating around, I could hear it so vividly in my head, and then I would go and sing and be like, this doesn't sound anything like how I want it to be. But by improving it, keep still going, listening back and seeing where I'm going wrong, and figuring it out, and just constantly chipping away at it, I feel like it's it's going to be a continual process for the rest of my life, but getting better each time. Every take I do, I feel more confident. So that's definitely been a big challenge. At the moment, it's more practical in trying to find band members. That is, I'm sure you've been through it many times. That is very difficult because finding people who are interested in the music to begin with, let alone anything else, that's hard enough. Then you find people on the websites for finding band members, and they think, oh, that person's going to be perfect, and then they blank you, or they're just like, oh, sorry, not interested, or whatever. It's like, but you'd be perfect. That's kind of challenging at the moment. And also just I believe in the music. I think it's good. The song is out there. I want people to listen to it, and no one's listening to it. How do you get people to listen to your music? There's so much music out there, and that's a good thing. I'm not one of these people who's saying that there's too much music, because there can't be too much music, because music is good, and there's always going to be new music for you to discover, and that's a wonderful thing. But how do you get your music heard by anyone? That's a challenge. That's a massive challenge.
To be or not to be. That is
exactly.
So yeah. All right. And I guess that why there too. And I'm assuming marketing. I guess marketing is kind of tied into that too. And I don't know if you use AI for anything really in particular.
No, I haven't used it. I don't really know how I would factor it in, to be honest. But I got PR through Crazy Pug PR. Shout out to them. Jodie's amazing. I'm trying to manage my socials and stuff. I don't use social media personally, and I don't know how to use it. But that's a learning curve as well. Trying to figure that out for the band. I need to get a professional manager, but again, they're hard to find. And you need to find someone who's knows what they're doing. And is sort of actively engaged in it. I don't want someone who's just doing it because, you know, you're paying them however much money a month to just do it. I want someone who actually truly believes in it, which again might be asking for too much because, you know, who's out there. But yeah, no, I don't know. Is there any sort of AI that you've used at all in your podcast or your music or anything?
No, nothing for the music. But I know most people have used it for like artwork, for instance, mainly because
okay, cool.
I mean, artists like paying like $100 or so just to get a piece of artwork done. So
yeah, that's true. I mean, I used Asylum 77, another shout out, Mark Leary, for the logo and stuff, and he's been amazing, and he did the lyric video as well. So again, I think like I think we're kind of at a point now with like the AI art where it's too late now that everyone knows a bit what like AI generated stuff looks like, and it's not late enough for it to be good that we can't tell yet. It's kind of in that like if you'd done it a couple of years ago, it would be like, oh, that looks cool, and you don't know what an AI picture looks like yet. And because there's always, I don't know, it's something you can always just tell with it, can't you? And then, but like I imagine that's only going to get better in the future. But again, you know, I'm old school. I like having a person involved who can do it, and then I'm creating this myself. I'm definitely not going to use any AI to write or do anything for me. I'm going to do it all myself. And I want, you know, people doing artwork and stuff like that, and being involved in videos and the creative side of it. I want a person doing it.
Yeah, it was the same way. Actually, the one I used was Mama's Maiden Studio. So yeah,
okay.
Yeah, put some work together.
Okay, cool.
Was I ever heard about her?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Yeah.
Tried again, by the way. So
okay,
try and make it check out. Yeah. So.
Yeah, definitely will. Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of years ago I saw some AI thing where it was someone had put the lyrics to War Pigs by Black Sabbath into it, and it created images. So, you know, I mean, it was very literal, but it was done in it wasn't just a literal picture trying to be photorealistic. It was a kind of expressionist painting kind of thing, which kind of works. So you had generals in their masses and so on like that. It's very literal. Yeah.
And then I wonder if it was the one who painted Prince Charles' picture, to be honest, too.
I want the terrifying emerging from the red. Yeah,
that was, almost like a vampire Dracula sort of thing going on there.
Yeah, back to movies. I think everyone was saying it was what's the villain called in Ghostbusters 2? That painting. That was what everyone was saying. That was.
I don't know. I was real big on the Ghostbusters, so.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that's probably why we don't know. Yeah. Regardless, though, we actually did stop in. Speaking of which, we actually did stop in to like see it and be like, okay, we saw it. And I got a picture of it too. So.
Okay.
Great mission too. Didn't have to worry about it. Just walked right in.
Whereabouts was it?
I know I think it was a little past Trafalgar Square, I think.
Okay. Is it, I mean, the National Gallery's just on Trafalgar Square, so that's got all the collection of fine art, but I don't know if it was in that. I'm not sure.
You have to search, but
yeah.
I can picture. I just can't remember the road.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. But so I don't know how much you use in terms of social media, or because I know I reached out to you on Facebook originally, and then I guess you're having issues with Messenger, so that's why you reached out for email. But
yeah, I mean, I used we got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, X, whatever it's called. So same handle for all, Dr. Black Band, if anyone wants to check that out. But yeah, I mean, just use all of those. You know, just a couple of posts here and there, a couple of pictures. Yeah, again, as I said, I don't really know what I'm doing. And just using that as just another tool just to try and help people find the music, really, and to find band members as well.
I would say on Facebook, there's a group called Band Together, and it's where all sorts of indie musicians get together and like share and talk about their music and stuff. Definitely
writing that down then. Band Together. Awesome. Cheers.
Shout out to Christina and Vox from Vox and put that together. So
awesome.
It was kind of leading to this question here too. So I guess for musicians on social media and in your neck of the woods, I guess what sort of advice would you give to them?
Which is anyone who wants to be a musician, basically, or
pretty much any musician, really. But
I guess. I mean, speaking for someone who's released one song and is by no means successful, I don't know if I'm in the best position to discuss it, but I'd say my main thing is you have to do it yourself. No one's going to come along hand you a music career. No one's going to come check out your music. No one's going to make you a good musician. You have to do it entirely yourself. You've got to be practicing your instrument. You've got to be perfecting your songwriting. You've got to be doing your social media and getting better at that and learning that. And you've got to be, doing the networking side of things to get band members or whatever. Those are my related to my issues. But yeah, no one's going to do it for you. I don't even know if this was ever true, but I think gone are the days where you could be pretty good at the guitar and someone will come pick you up, be like, oh, do you want to be in my band? Yeah, cool, I'll be in your band. You do a few gigs, and then a record executive is like, oh, cool, here's $50,000, go record an album and then go on tour. That's never going to happen in today's day and age. Whether it happened before, I don't know. Maybe that's just the way that we kind of all perceived things. But so you've got to do it yourself. That's my main thing I would say to musicians. Guess another thing I'd say is be true to yourself. Like, write music and play music that you believe in. Don't half-ass it and do something you don't really care about. Like, if you can't, I mean, again, this is my own experience. I couldn't go out there and try and say, oh, listen to my music if I don't believe in it, if I don't think it's good enough. If you're doing music that you don't like, I'm not going to go out and record a jazz album. No disrespect to anyone who does that, and there's lots of heavy metal guitar players who are jazz players, and if that's who you are, do it. That's great. But there is a lot of people out there who might try and do that and try and branch out into that or do something else that's not them, and it's like, cool, that's cool that you're trying to experiment and do something different, but you should do what you actually want to do, because I think that will come through way more than anything else. People can say that your music's derivative or it's not original, but actually, you know what? It's better if it's from you and it's what you want to do. That's my opinion.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that, mate. That's actually pretty good too. And I know you're kind of getting your feet wet or hands dirty and that sort of stuff there too. So I can understand. So
yeah,
it's always best to get people's 2 cents out of it. So
yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, obviously, like, if you're in a band of 5 people who's all writing music, you're always going to have to compromise on stuff, and you can't not record music because someone's written a bit that everyone else likes, but you don't like it, or whatever, or think it could be different. As long as you're talking about it and trying to make it better, that's fine. They always say kill your darlings as well. If you have to get rid of music that you've written and you love but isn't good enough. But I think, there's always going to be compromise. It's never going to be that black and white, but yeah, do something that you believe in.
I was going to say, it's almost like, I forget if it was a cover song, but I know Metallica did a song called Die, Die, My Darling.
Oh, yeah. Is that about that? Yeah.
I think it was one of the Punkers. I want to say it's a Misfits song, so.
Sounds like it could be, yeah.
Probably, but nonetheless, that too. It's kind of along those, it's along those lines, so I can see what you're saying. So.
Yeah.
So, Robert, we've reached the questions here pretty good, so I guess here, let's jump into the fun ones. Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So for the first one right here, I guess, what is currently your favorite food?
My favorite food? Let's see. I mean, a well done, and by well done I mean well made, not well done steak is my favorite. Is probably my favorite thing. Quite hard to come by. I don't know. Like, sometimes I found recently that a lot of restaurants, they just smother it in salt right before they serve it out to you. And it's like, no, you want to put some salt on it at the beginning and cook it in, and then it's going to be beautiful. But don't just shove salt all over it and send it out to me. That's a tongue twister, that. But then you can't go wrong with pizza, really. Controversial opinion, I don't mind Hawaiian pizza, even though I prefer, I quite like, obviously I like authentic Italian Neapolitan pizza is obviously going to be the best, and you would be thrown out of Italy for having a pineapple on your pizza. But if you're ordering a greasy takeout that's bears no resemblance to Italian food, actual Italian food, there's no wrong with Hawaiian. Not that it would be my go-to for a bit of prosciutto and mushrooms and stuff on it. That'd be ideal. But yeah, those are probably my go-to. Steak, if it's good.
I'll tell you, I know steaks are always hard to cook because my second job is actually working at a restaurant.
Oh, cool.
So we mainly just use like fillets and strips.
Yeah.
So it's always hard to try to get it down right. So I don't know what sort of method there is to, because it's easy to cook the outside, but it's more so the inside that's the hard part.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Yeah, when I make it at home, I can either do it and it's completely bloody, or it's completely cooked through with no. I can't get it in the middle. So I respect people who do cook it. I'm not. It's difficult. It's yeah.
I was say you got a couple Gordon Ramsays right in your neck of the woods there, so I mean, like, you can't go wrong there. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got a lot of TV chefs over here, including Gordon Ramsay, but I think he's mostly in America now, isn't he?
Probably, but regardless, though, great food, but that is pricey. I'll tell you that much. So.
Yeah, well, I think I looked at one of Ramsay's restaurants once, and it was like £200 a person, and you had to wear a suit and tie, and I was like, no, I'm all right. I don't have that kind of money lying around for dinner.
I want to say that was Vegas because boy, oh boy, that was the hole in my dad's wall when we had to go check it out.
So, yeah. So. Is that the actual Hell's Kitchen one in Vegas? Because I think I walked past. He's got loads in Vegas, but they've got an actual Hell's Kitchen in Vegas. I think it's at Caesars. But,
I think it might have been right, but it was in New Paris. Is actually where.
Okay.
So it might have been a Hell's Kitchen, so I'm not sure. So
I can't remember. There was a bar when I was only in Vegas for one night, and I was in a bar that was doing. Can't remember where it was. It was doing frozen blinis for like $4 during happy hour. So I filled up on those quite. So I don't really remember a lot of it.
Had a bad hangover the next morning. So
yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah. I guess so for the next one here, I guess. So what would you say is currently your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Ooh, good question. Tough one. I mean, we spoke about Airheads. That was great. That was up there. Do like that. I am a big fan of the film Signs by M. Night Shyamalan, but he's a bit hit and miss for people. A lot of people don't like him. People hated on The Village, which I actually quite enjoyed. But I think Signs is a good film. It's suspenseful. It's got funny moments in it. It's good. Big fan of that. Quite like, guilty pleasure is again the Dan Brown movies, the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons and Inferno. They're just good fun. But I think, possibly my favourite film is one called In Bruges, which I don't know if you've seen that, but it's got Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson in it. It's a kind of dark comedy. Highly recommend it. It's about two assassins who get sent to Bruges in Belgium, and just check it out. It's a great film. Highly recommend it. That's probably my favourite film.
All right, sounds good. Okay. And for the next one right here, I don't know if you drink, but if you do drink any alcohol, I guess, what's your favorite alcoholic drink and non-alcoholic drink?
Yeah, I mean, I do drink. Again, I think it's hard to pick a favourite one because, everyone wants you to say something fancy, but, beer is like it's like, the workhorse of the alcoholic drinks. You can drink it. I'm not going to say every day, but you can drink it regularly and you don't get tired of it. So that's always good. Again, spoke about being in Italy and having a pizza. Before we go for pizza in Italy, you want to go for an Aperol Spritz. That's probably my favourite alcohol drink. But again, drinking Aperol Spritz in a dark, cold pub in London in December compared to drinking it in the town square in wherever you are in Italy, it's not going to be the same thing. So I guess that's mostly circumstantial, really. But yeah, love an Aperol Spritz. And non-alcoholic, don't really know. I mean, I don't drink a huge amount of soft drinks. I mean, I drink fair amount of coffee. That's pretty good. I'm a water drinker. I am constantly drinking water. I know that everyone's a water drinker, but like I am regularly drinking it. I don't understand people who forget to drink it because I am constantly dehydrated at maybe it's because I'm drinking too much coffee and beer and Aperol Spritz, but constantly dehydrated. I've been checked out, by the way. No one needs to write in to see if I'm diabetic or anything. I've spoken to a doctor about it previously.
No. In fact, I would say drinking water, it's a sort of a job requirement when you think about it. So.
Yeah.
Actually, you're right about Aperol Spritz. And actually, I was in Italy. Actually, I'm actually thinking of that. It was probably our first one that we did overseas after COVID. So I think that was our first one. So, and and I do remember the pizzas too. They were good sizes as well. I mean, very good, but boy, they were filling to say the least. So
yeah, proper. You can't share a pizza in Italy. It's got to be everyone gets their own. Because it's
like touch it, you die. That sort of thing.
Pretty much, yeah. But it's still smaller than if you order the jumbo takeaway one from the greasy takeout place down the road or wherever it is. Not that I'm against that.
Yeah. Actually, which parts of Italy were you at? Because I was pretty much like starting, Naples, and kind of worked through Pompeii and Rome, and then eventually got our way to Venice.
I mean, I think over my life, I've been to Italy countless times, so it's much easier. I imagine it's much easier for me to get to Italy than it is for you out in Pennsylvania. But I've been over. I was recently actually in Naples. Love Naples. Absolutely underrated as a city. I think everyone thinks it's going to be a bit rough, but it's actually like when you're in the city centre, it's really nice. Everyone is super friendly. Really cool stuff to see. Really nice place to be. Love Naples. Yeah, been to Rome. Florence is great. Venice as well. Milan and Turin as well. Yeah, I've been all over. Love it. So easy to get around there as well, because once you're there, you can just hop on a high-speed train for like €15, which to like go that same distance on a train in the UK is going to cost you like £200. It's insane.
Yeah, I can probably imagine. Actually, I was on Eurostar, and I think that one was probably paid in advance. And that was my first time I was going to London. It was actually London, and then we were going to Paris.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how much it was. So yeah.
Eurostar's great. Everyone says it's pricey, but if you book enough far enough in advance, again, here I am, spokesperson for Eurostar, but if you book far enough in advance, it's usually cheap enough. But I mean, it's better than flying, because if you fly, you've got to get out to an airport, go through security and all that hassle, and then you land outside Paris, and then you have to get into Paris. Whereas, train is door to door, city centre of London, city centre of Paris.
Yeah, I would say Paris's airport was always something too. So
yeah, again, I've never flown into Paris because I never needed to, but yeah.
I'd say lucky you, because boy, it is quite a place. They got a real fun house over there, to say the least. So
nice.
Okay. And for the last question here, I guess, what would you say is currently your favorite song in the mainstream world, and then one from the indie community?
Ooh, mainstream. Oh God. I'll go with, well, again, this answer is kind of, I'd say it's the indie one, but they're doing pretty well for themselves. It's a band called Brutus, Belgian band. They are kind of three-piece. They make this absolute amazing wall of sound. Their singer Stephanie plays drums, is an amazing drummer, has this really powerful, emotional voice. They're really great. They've got a song called Love Won't Hide the Ugliness, which I think has been on repeat on Spotify since it came out like last year or even the year before. It's just, great song. Love that. That's definitely my favorite. I guess that kind of fits in the indie, but they're doing really well. They've had an album out a couple of years ago. It's done really well, and they've been on tour, and they're getting loads and loads of videos and songs and stuff listened to. But I guess it's not mainstream, I suppose. But mainstream, God, I mean, I don't really keep up with the mainstream at the moment, but I guess not my bag. But I guess my guilty pleasure of mine is Katy Perry. Not guilt pleasure, because I don't feel bad about it, because it's great music, but Katy Perry did have some great songs. I'm not so sure about the stuff that she's producing at the moment. I haven't really listened to that, but I've been hearing there's a bit of controversy about it. But I mean, like, Teenage Dream, that album, it's got some good songs in it. That's my answer for that. Final answer.
Yeah, I was like, final answer.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, hey, everyone's got some sort of guilty pleasure here and there too. I mean, going back to the alcohol drinks, I was going to say mine's always been like going for the sweet drinks. So whenever you get like maybe some pops mixed in, I would say I underestimated peach schnapps. I should have actually tried it when I was in one of those Austrian towns.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I used to work in a bar. I've worked in several pubs, but I used to work in one where, there was just so many cocktails contained schnapps and stuff in that. So constantly pouring that out into drinks, it's good. No shame in enjoying a big pink drink. Enjoy it.
Hey, if you like it.
Exactly.
That's all that matters.
That's the only thing that matters.
Who cares what the other ones are saying too? That's all that matters.
Exactly. Doesn't matter. If you want to have a mojito, you have a mojito.
Oh, I had plenty of those. Trust me about that.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. No.
I know. I will admit, I got old after a while. So.
That's the downside to that.
Sadly, but all right.
Yeah.
But great choice nonetheless there too, man. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So Robert, we are down to one more question on my podcast, but I guess before we jump into it, did you have any questions for me or any final words you want to say before we jump into it?
No, I mean, I just want to say, yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It's been great. This is a really cool interview. I like your channel. You checked out a few of them when you invited me on, and yeah, I like what you're doing. Keep up the good work, and thanks to everyone for listening.
All right. In that case, let's jump right into it. So, given what COVID has done, and obviously it seems you've been pretty blessed, and compared to maybe what some other people have gone through as well here too. But for those musicians and people who've been impacted by COVID or anything else in their lives, what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there as we try to move forward in the post-COVID world?
I would say that music is way more accessible than it ever has been. Kind of touched on this earlier, that it might be accessible to a fault, but it's not. It's definitely not to a fault. There is so much music out there, and it only inspires more people, and it only means that there's more music being heard, and you can't have too much music because music is great. And it's always good to discover new music and new bands and new people. So don't think that it's oversaturated. Don't think that there's any, people aren't going to want it. People want to listen to new music. People want to go out to gigs and see live bands and engage with them because, again, particularly as you mentioned, COVID, like people missed that for 2 years, if not longer. There's people are hungry for it. People want to have more music. So keep the faith, write more music, keep going.
To quote Harvey Keitel from Pulp Fiction, spoken like a true prodigy.
Thank you very much.
Yep. All right. That's good. And I guess, Robert, we've reached my podcast right here. Boy, oh boy. We talked for, it's going to be probably a little under an hour and 20 minutes, but I mean, still good hour nonetheless here too. But I guess just to close out right here, I guess, got any final words, any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
Just big thanks to, everyone who's been supporting me. My partner's been great. She's sort of, supported me through everything. Big shout out to Benedict and the guys at Outback Studios for making the song sound awesome. Mark Leary at Asylum 77 for the video, and Jody from Crazy Pug PR for getting us out there. And just thank you to everyone who's been supporting me and throughout my entire music life. I genuinely appreciate it, and I'm just very grateful for everything that everyone's done. So thank you.
No worries. And just for the audience's sake, can you just list what social media and streaming platforms you're on so you can check it out and maybe listen to your music?
Yeah, so Queen of Summertime is now out on Spotify, Apple Music. You can buy it on iTunes or Amazon. There's a lyric video for that on YouTube. You can check us out on all the usual social medias, well, Instagram, Facebook, and X, Twitter. It's the same handle for all, at Dr. Black Band. Thank you very much.
Just don't get in the same room with a bunch of doctors and argue over who's going to be Dr. Black.
Exactly. That title's taken.
All right, sounds good. But to close out like this, everyone, my guest today was Rob Rees, hailing from the certain part of London. Hopefully there's no werewolves there too. Quote a Warren Zenoff song. So, but you got AKA Dr. Black right here too. So make sure you go support him. Go follow him on those socials and everything, and then hit him up on streaming platforms. Let's go help our brother out right out there too. So hopefully you get a band at some point right there too. But don't give up on the marketing. So, all right.
Thank you.
So Rob, wish you all the best there going forward there, mate. So you stay safe.
You too. Thank you very much. Cheers.
And then we post. Stay tuned, y'all.